Hello. Now let's talk about context. I think it's useful to give you a bit of an overview of me and my background to set the context of a lot of the things I will be saying to you in the upcoming chapters. So my name is Ewan. I'm 47 and I've most recently been a chief transformation officer for a bank in Oman in the Middle East. Chief transformation officer in this context, there's lots of different definitions, but in this context, it was running the operations, the processes, the technology teams, the digital teams, the marketing team, customer experience team, basically a whole chunk of a bank. Before that, I was Group Chief Digital Officer for the largest bank in Northern Europe. That's Nordea Bank. Had a great time there. And I was helping drive the digital strategy and the transformation of this huge, big financial services giant there. I really enjoyed that. One of my roles was setting up Nordea Ventures. That's a venture capital capability for the bank to invest into financial technology or fintech companies. So I had a fantastic time there. I was based in Copenhagen with the family. Prior to that, I was at Royal Bank of Scotland or NatWest, and I was driving their huge digital transformation for their retail team. And again, when we're talking about transformation, fundamentally we mean change. It used to be called change or just technology change, and then it became more fashionable to call it transformation. But basically, that's the heavy lifting that goes on behind the scenes to make sometimes very incumbent, that is, heavily incumbent organizations with lots of technical complexity, making them dance, making these big elephants dance, as the phrase goes. Now, at each of these different roles, I have been either required, or responsible for, or partly involved in graduate recruitment and working with graduates, bringing graduates in to the company or taking those graduates and then having them in my team and using and working with graduates to drive technology change or drive particular aspects across my organization. So I've lots of experience hiring and working with graduates. And that's also helping drive a lot of the points that I make across this course. Okay, so there's some context and some background on me, but there's another aspect I wanted to cover, and that was the economy as it stands today and the reality that you face, presuming you're a current graduate or undergraduate student. There's been a lot of degree inflation. I remember 20 odd years ago, more than that, when I was coming out of university or when my peers were coming out of university. As I say, I was running a company, but when my peers were coming out of university, it was very easy. Graduates were in super high demand. Anyone with a degree was in high demand, and then now it really mattered what university you went to, because there was perception and value related to that. Then the type of degree was very helpful and useful. But now, quite a few years on, almost 3 decades. Gosh, look at the grey hair. Almost 3 decades on, it's a very different environment where the experience is heavily prized. There has been significant inflation in the context of degree and the value of a degree, to the extent that in many cases I'm recommending a lot of the younger individuals I'm working with, including my children, look at get a degree, but I'm not entirely sure where you get the degree matters and what degree actually. Now that might sound nuts, but this is what I've seen. And recently when I've been working with graduates, newly minted graduates that have just come through the graduate program or in the middle of their, they've just started that rotation process and they're rotated into my team. Often they come with all of these preconceived ideas that they've got from the careers team, from academia, and perhaps from some influencers as well. This kind of mindset that you're boxed into a particular career because of the degree you've done, absolute nonsense. I remember sitting in front of 20 odd graduates where I've got some in the corner there, mechanical engineering, some software engineering, some computer science, some marketing, some politics, right? Some with I can't even begin to describe some physiotherapy or no. Great, but again, what's interesting is when I then say, okay, cool, I need three people to help me drive a digital awareness campaign across the bank. Who's interested? And then all the ones who've done, engineering with this, I'm not doing that. What? Oh, I don't. Yeah, that's not my degree. It doesn't matter what your degree is. You now work here, right? And this is that's the interesting reality. So by all means, if you have done a software engineering degree and you're going to go into software development, that's perfectly fine, right? But a lot of these individuals, they were doing rotations specifically because they didn't know. They were not advanced enough to do coding. They just had done these kind of different degrees and non-relevant in some cases. That didn't matter. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter to us when we were hiring them, and it wasn't relevant during the career. So interesting perspectives there as well. But look, on job market and the economy, certainly in the United Kingdom, in the short term, it's a very difficult reality. So it's a buyer's market. Now, what we mean by that is the employers are not hunting; they are fishing. Fishing in barrels, essentially, that's the phrase that a colleague of mine was using when they were talking about recruiting graduates. This is a big financial institution in London. They have 20 graduate places in their division, and 5, 6, 7,000 applications. Right, so they are literally just going, picking and choosing. Okay, that was not the case quite a few years ago. This is the reality. In some years that might have been 100. 200 applicants, for example, 200 places, right? That they are 100 places they might have been hiring, but now it's very, very limited, just purely down to economic issues, right? So I think it's useful to be aware that it's quite a difficult market at the moment. So everything you can do now whilst you're studying, okay, it's almost like a shield. Okay, before you have to face it, right? So before you face this market reality, which many are facing with great difficulty right now, before you face that, prepare, and that's the idea behind this course. Now, I say this with a lot of experience working with quite a few graduate students who have come out, they've done the degree, they've come out without any experience or next to no relevant experience. And now it's difficult. And now they're having to retrofit. And now they're having to think about, do I need to do a master's? Do I need to do that? No. You needed to prepare, right? You needed to prepare better. Why didn't you do any work experience? I was focusing on my studies. Great. All right, but the challenge with that is actually the hard reality. In some cases, the hard reality is do both. By all means, focus on your studies, but you need to make sure you're focusing on your marketability, especially in this type of economy. Okay, look, there's kind of context, a background, and some perspective. Let's get on with it. So thanks for watching. Let's move on.